Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So I was running a bit late this morning, couldn't get myself any lunch, didn't have time, so I've just headed over to Greg's, get myself a coffee and a sandwich and a bag of crisps. But I'm just going to, first of all, I'm going to head on back to the workshop and just show you what we've got going on at the moment. We've got another couple of engines turned up today, and I had a phone call this morning. We've got another Cosworth engine that's out of a Mark 1 Escort, that needs a complete overhaul with some upgraded bits. So we've got that one coming in next week. So yeah, pretty mental at the minute, but let's head on back over to the workshop and I'll just run you through what we've got going on at the minute. So first of all, the Cosworth here that we've got all built, bar the bits that have been plated. We've got the bits that have come back. These are all clear zinc. The pulleys, we've got sort of three of the pulleys haven't turned out too bad, but 3 aren't great to be honest, but they're only going to be spare anyway. We just sort of chucked them in the box. But I remember him saying last time, for some reason, even if we prep these pulleys, because there's, I don't know whether they sort of get a bit of air in or what, I don't really know the process of the plating, but they tend to come out not so great to be honest with you. So but really it was just so to sort of stop them going rusty. These are going to be hidden behind a cover anyway, but yeah, the rest of it's come up all right, so we can now get that one sort of back together and time it up, and that one there is all done. Over here we've got Phil, the guy from America. He's come over, the one we've got to do within 3 weeks. This is his block. As you can see, we've got it long studded now, machine for long studs. We just finished honing it. I'm just waiting for it to cool, give it one last check. Might have to take a little tickle out of those bores, and then that one is ready for cleaning thoroughly, painting, new set of core plugs, and away we go. We can start building that. Just got to finish off the cylinder head. This one here is for Paul, get his name right now. This one, as you can see, all studded. What I've done yesterday, we've got the crank in there. Crank all turns nice. So this is the one that we had to liner, and you see I've got the pistons and rods laid out here. The pistons, I basically had to work it out with the chamber in the head and the Victor Rhines WRC head gasket we're going to be using. We want to run this one about 7.6 to 1, something like that. So what I've done is I've done a dummy build, put a piston on a rod without the rings, got the height right, so we've got a 12 thou jut out on here. Then I've machined the bowl to allow for that compression ratio. So all we're waiting for now I've finished the long studding on that block, I'm going to get the jigs set up and I'm going to stick my valve pockets in these, and then this thing can be put back together, and all we've got to finish then is the porting on the cylinder head, and that one's all ready to go. So one thing we did notice when we were studying this, actually it's after we faced it, although this engine has not been together for a long time, or not, certainly not been run for years, as you can see down there, either side of that stud, there's 2 cracks, and that is the renowned cracks on one of the inner 6 bolt holes that run from the water jacket through to what was the old stud thread. And obviously if you keep that as it was, that was going to create an issue big time. So that is one reason why we always long stud these Cosworth blocks now, because if it hasn't done that already, then it's just a time bomb really. You never know when it's going to happen. It could happen never, or it could happen the next day. And what usually causes it is where you've got the constant tension of the original head bolt pulling up on the surface of the block. Just eventually it just cracks, and then what happens, because you've got that crack there running through the thread, it just takes the tension off the bolt and these end up coming loose. So that is one reason we do it. As I say, because this has been done now, that's not going to create an issue, no problem whatsoever. But this head here, this block here for Phil, the one that's come out of his Sapphire, This was really just a sort of, he wanted it just a straight go through. But after I faced it, because this is the one that had the very unusual marks on it that looked like it had been rappeted back after it had been faced. But I did notice on this that we've got the same problem. So we've got cracks, and on this one it is very, very faint. And to be honest, yeah, there he is. You can see it there and a little bit there. Unless you were really looking, I mean, if you sort of put it like that, you can't even see it. So unless you were really looking for them, someone would have probably rebuilt this, faced it, not even spotted that, and that could have given you a big issue, probably not far down the line. So that's why whenever I get a Cosworth in now, we at least do the 6 inner studs long, but I just tend to try and persuade the customer to just go for 10 studs, and then we've eliminated all those issues there. But yeah, real lucky one on that. So guys, while we're on the subject of Cosworths, which in most of our videos lately we are, I do apologise for that. If any of you guys are not particularly into Cosworths, that's all we seem to have got on the go at the moment, so I really do apologise. Just bear with us, and we will have some other stuff going on. As you can see behind me, we've got a nice washing line full of Cosworth manifold bits and various engine bits that Carlos has blasted, and he's going to prep them to paint. So I'm just setting up here for the cutouts in the pistons. I'm sure you've seen me do this before, but basically, change the subject. While we're on the subject of Cosworths, had a visit this morning from our friend Joe Oates. Joe's the one that owns the Cosworth that's been built 3 or 4 times. You know, we've done video on that in the past. He was in this morning. Apparently he's done sort of 2 or 3 track days in the car, and he's entered the modified Ford's championship this year. I think it's about 13 rounds. He did his first round at Silverstone, I believe, a couple of weeks ago, or last week on the Sunday. It was a qualifying in the morning and then 2 race events. Car went absolutely faultlessly. I think he said he's got a couple of little oil leaks. He's got one from the rear, that's around the rear main seal, which we've been chasing for ages. I know he's got a big wing sump on it. He's had this sump converted to big wing. So Joe himself has changed the rear main seal probably 2 or 3 times, and we changed it once. And obviously, the last time we built it, we were so careful with it. But I've just got a little feeling that we may have some distortion in the sump. But at this stage, it's nothing too major to worry about. He said he's got a bit of a leak from where the breather goes in the rocker cover. I think there's a bit of a leak coming from around there. But no, apart from that, he said the engine's running faultlessly. Really happy with it. Got a pretty good result, I think. But he did say, I think there's an unlimited power sort of rule. And he said a few of the cars, you know, there was a Cosworth there, it was 700 odd horsepower. So I think his next step is he wants to go from about 480 horsepower to about 600 odd. So as I say, the engine is spec'd accordingly. We can run whatever power we want there. You know, the head's been ported, so whether he changed cams, I don't think he's going to change the cams to start with, but he's certainly going to put a bigger turbo on it and get it mapped and what have you. So yeah, really happy for Joe. I'm glad it's all going all right. Better touch wood at this stage, and yeah, fingers crossed it stays like it. So really happy for him. So I just thought I'd show you this, guys. We've had this cylinder head come in about 10 minutes ago from a chap that we know. It's the usual story with cylinder heads like this. As long as they're stripped, the valves are below the face, so it's just literally a reface. We don't mind doing it as quick as we can, providing there's nothing on the machine. So we do understand, you know, local garages have got the car on the ramp and they're sort of jumping up and down for it. But so what I've said, I'll get this done within the hour for him. But what I did want to show you is, and it's the usual story, we have so many people come in and say, they bring the gasket in and they say, I can't see anything wrong with the gasket. And I think what they're looking for is a big old chunk missing out of the gasket, and unless they can see that, they don't tend to think there's anything wrong. But what we do is just ignore the gasket, look at the cylinder head, and as I said to you before, first thing we look for is a nice clear line where the gasket is sealing on the fire ring there. And where you've got areas of black, like that for instance, and down here, and in between here, that's when we know that the gasket's been blowing. So this has been blowing good and proper, especially down here and here. But where you've got it in the centre there, this is always a little bit worrying. So what we always say when we see that is go away and have a look at your block face. Stick a straight edge on. Don't even bother with feeler gauges. Just put a torch behind the straight edge on the block once you've cleaned it up, and check for daylight through there, because that's obviously sort of worn down. And if it's been blowing for a long period of time there, it can sink down on the block, and it doesn't matter how flat you get the cylinder head, the gasket's never going to seal. So that's the one thing we do tell them to go and look for, because obviously facing a block is not an expensive job in machining, but it is a major job in strip down, because you've got to actually completely strip the block down. So yeah, just bear that in mind, guys. If you're ever doing a cylinder head job, don't look so much at the gasket, always look at the face, and you want a nice clean fire ring. Well, once again guys, thanks ever so much for watching. Please comment down below, smash that subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll see you in another one. Cheers.